This is episode 100, which is wild and exciting. Karlee, you went to Ohio State over the weekend. How was that?
Oh my gosh. First of all, congrats on 100 episodes. I'm so happy to be in the last two. This is very exciting, but Ohio was great. It was so much fun. I know I said last week that I went to the Michigan game last year, and that was a total train wreck. But this year it was so much better. They won like 42 or something to 3. So we had a very different experience this time.
Who did
It
they
was
play again?
Minnesota. They won 42 to 3. And so that was obviously a way better fan experience than last year was for the Michigan game. So fun to be in Ohio. It's so fun to see all of my husband's friends that live in Ohio, and because they're all a part of like the football culture. And so they're all super invested into it. And so it's fun to see my husband like really thrive in that environment. And then all of the wives are like, we're just here.
Sure, it felt like fall, did it? I say that it's like 80 degrees.
I feel like this happens every time I go to Ohio. They're having like great weather, and then I come and they're like, I don't know why it's so hot, Karlee. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, it feels like summer. Legitimately, that happens every time I'm in that state. So it was like, I mean, I think it got up to like 98, high 80s, 90. And then I was like, perfect.
Oh my gosh, I had envisioned for you like this quintessential fall, like upper Midwest, almost East Coasty week.
And you and me both. I was like, this is going to be perfect. We're going to enjoy the weather. We're going to be outside. This is amazing. Like, all the leaves are going to be falling. I'm going to get like a hot cup of coffee, which the leaves were falling and it felt super good in the morning. But after like noon, I was just dripping sweat the whole day.
There's nothing I love more than like cute fall game day outfit and like a hot drink. I feel like you either go from end of October game that is going to be like 80 degrees to just freezing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like last year when we went, obviously it was the end of November. And so it didn't matter what I wore because everyone was just bundled up. I was like, I'm just trying to stay warm as much as I possibly can. But this year I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to wear? And also the Midwest doesn't really, you probably understand this. The Midwest doesn't really do like game day outfits like Southern schools do. I learned that the hard way. My cousin, who also married into an Ohio State family, she was like, Karlee, let me tell you, they don't do it like we do down south. Like the first game I went to, I wore this cute red gingham dress and my boots, and I was looking so cute and I was so excited. And the girls were like, what are you doing here? And so I went very safe and just like did an Ohio State t-shirt and jeans because I was like, I don't know what the vibes are. I'm just gonna play it safe.
Have you ever asked your husband what coldest temperature he would go stand outside in a football game is? Because I always find it fascinating that like people will literally get hypothermia.
Oh, 100%. I've never asked him that question directly, but I feel like he would be like, if he had tickets for the Ohio State Michigan game and it was like negative 10 degrees, he would 100% be there.
That is unreal to me.
Same.
I think my limit, the coldest game I've ever gone to is a Chiefs game, and I think it was like 28 degrees, and I was like, never again.
No.
People were bringing cardboard to stand on the cardboard so that you weren't like straight up against the cement floors. At least like insulate yourself.
Oh my gosh. That is crazy. And sometimes I would just rather watch it at home.
Yes.
It's fun to go to games and, do all that thing. But at the end of the day, especially for those of us that aren't super aware of what's going on all the time, I need the people to tell me what's happening. Like, I need the commentators on the TV to tell me what's going on.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I grew up in a household where my grandparents would mute the TV, but have the radio do the commentating because they said that the radio commentators were so much better than the TV ones.
Wait, that's so funny.
It is kind of a different art, right? Because doing it for radio, you do have to be so much more clear in what's actually going on. And maybe the analysts on TV just get to kind of, they don't have to fill up as much space, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like they don't have to be as descriptive as you have to be on the radio, because if you're on the TV, then the people that are watching you are also watching what's going on.
Yeah.
Whereas the radio, it's like I have to explain to them in detail what's happening.
So speaking of what's happening, let's do our touchdown tea.
So let's start. Let's get it going. I'm so excited. We decided that we're going to kind of break up these episodes a little bit more. You can start putting like the timestamps in the description if you're concerned about the NFL. NFL, start here. If you want to know about college football, start here, stuff like that. So I'm really excited for this.
Let's kick it off with NFL. Cardinals versus Titans game. I didn't watch it. Did you watch it?
I watched, we were in the car, either in the car or at the airport. I can't remember where we were specifically. The whole thing just kind of felt like a sitcom to me. And it was really crazy because there was just like a huge sequence of events that happened. Cardinals lost. The Titans won 22-21. But the biggest thing that happened, which you can lead with this story if you want to pretend like you know what you're talking about or like act like you knew what was going on this weekend. This is the craziest thing to me because I have seen this happen multiple times, which says a lot considering how little I watch the game of football and how many times I've seen that. But the biggest thing that happened is the Cardinals, they were going to score a touchdown. They were on their way to score a touchdown. And the player, I don't know who it was, dropped the ball at like the 1 yard line before he crossed the goal line.
One job.
You have one job. And I'm like, why would you not just in case? Like,
yes,
just in case. But not only did he drop the ball, so if that were to happen normally and he dropped the ball, they would just put the ball on the 1 yard line and they'd have to go for a touchdown again. I also didn't understand. He dropped the ball and it rolled out of the back of his own end zone, which resulted in a touchback. And I was like, what is a touchback? If you don't know what that is, basically the short version is if you drop the ball in the end zone you're trying to score in and it rolls out of bounds, the other team automatically gets it at the 25-yard line. That's exactly what happened. So not only did they not get the touchdown, they lost the ball and the other team got the ball on the 25-yard line. And then they ended up losing the game. And I was like, this feels so ridiculous.
It does. I feel like it's something, especially with not carrying the ball all the way through to make sure. I feel like that's in college football that happens a lot because they're like just so amped up and everything. But in the NFL, like it should just be second nature at that point to just make sure.
Yes. Like that to me feels like the simplest thing ever to just like make sure you've crossed the goal line. Yeah, the whole thing just felt like a sitcom. This cannot be real. Like we're paying these people millions of dollars a year to drop the ball at the 1 yard line.
I would not be able to sleep that night. I get like this just over sending a text message that I'm like, oh, did that make sense? And I'm not gonna sleep at night alone.
Right. I'm like, oh gosh, like did I do something wrong? Like what went right? What went wrong? Like I'm looking at every detail and these people are just like, I don't have a care in the world.
With a touchback, there's a scenario where if a quarterback gets sacked in the end zone, is that a touchback or is that something different? Like I feel like there's something where if the quarterback is like all the way back, they're starting literally from like 100 yards away. If he gets sacked, points are scored.
That is different than a touchback. If a quarterback gets sacked in the end zone, then that's just an automatic safety.
That's it. Safety.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is confusing because there's also a position called safety. That is why that's confusing.
Yes. Okay. Like I told my husband when we were talking about all of this, because we were watching the game together, watching the highlights. And I was like, the more I learn about the sport of football, the more I feel like I have no idea what's going on in the sport of football. Because there's so many niche things like that, like a touchback or getting sacked and it's a safety, but there's also a position named safety and there's also this and this and this. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I just need the basics.
Exactly. Okay, so then we had Philadelphia losing to the Broncos.
This was just crazy because nobody expected this to happen. The Broncos were 2-2 before this game, and the Philadelphia Eagles were undefeated. Everyone thinks like the Eagles are the best team in the league right now.
And the Jason Kelce used to play for.
Right.
Reading the dot.
Yes, exactly. Will be Taylor Swift's soon brother-in-law. It was just crazy because nobody expected this to happen. Like the Denver Broncos weren't bad. They had won some games, but they definitely weren't supposed to win against the Eagles, who are supposedly the best team in the league. So that one was just crazy because no one was really expecting that to happen. And it was like a huge upset. Props to the Broncos for beating the Eagles.
Like you don't really hear much about them.
No, exactly. They're kind of like it's like a nothing burger kind of team. They don't really make a lot of news, but for good or bad reasons, they're just kind of there. And so for them to beat the Eagles was like, okay, Broncos, go ahead.
Do teams practice knowing that when they go to Colorado, do they practice knowing that they're going to be in high altitude? Because I feel like I would pass out if I had to do an athletic event in altitudes that I'm not used to at all.
No, I feel the same way. I have no idea, but they probably should. Because I know when we go to Colorado, we go a few times a year. And whenever I go up there, I'll like try to go on a walk or I'll try to do a quick workout. And I'm like dry heaving. It's so bad. So I cannot imagine going up there to go play an entire game of football in that altitude. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened with the Eagles. Well, actually, I don't know where they played. They may have played in Philadelphia.
I'm sure too, with all these facilities, they probably have like all these like fancy oxygen treatments and whatever. I'm here worried about them and they've got this so like
that's the least of our worry.
They're good. They're good. They're breathing great. Right now, college. This is where there was a lot more going on last week. Texas choked against Florida. So last week we talked about how Texas quarterback Arch Manning, this was supposed to be a really strong season for him, and he's just still not doing it.
Really tough. I know we talked about this game last week. Like this one's going to be the one to watch. Texas is going to be on the road. We'll see how Arch performs in this Arch era. And unfortunately, it did not go Texas's way. They're not looking too good. They choked big time against Florida, which was a huge upset considering how they were ranked beforehand and how they're ranked now. It was really bad. The empath in me just feels so badly for Arch because I'm like, he's just a kid. Like, don't be so hard on him. Like, just relax. But the other part of me is like, he's fine. Like, this is what he signed up.
I get so torn too because I without a doubt, I'm sure he's a great player. He was one of the top ones out of seniors in high school. Like, there's no doubt there. But you do always have to wonder too, would he have gotten to a school with a platform like Texas without his name, maybe carrying him the extra little bit more than his skill set? I have no idea, but that is kind of hard because that's a huge burden to carry as well. Okay, yes, I'm really good and I got recruited to this school. Am I actually at the skill level that needs to be played for the teams that we're playing? Or was my last name just making up for that extra gap?
Yeah.
And that would be really hard.
I don't know. And I cannot imagine being in his shoes. Like, I crumble at pressure. So respect for him to keep getting out there and going at it because I couldn't do it. Yeah, I don't know how he lines up against all the other ones because just all I know right now is it's not looking too good.
What do you think is the point where a coach is, okay, we're going to try our secondary QB?
Golly, I don't know. I think
there was going to be a really hard, again, this is like where we're being the empaths. That would be a really hard decision to make on that part. On a logical level, it's like, well, you got to do what you got to do to win a game.
Yeah, there was a few games I remember last year watching because we have some friends that went to Texas. So on Saturdays, we like all watch each other's games together. And there was a few times where the starting quarterback at the time, Quinn Ewers, got pulled out and Arch stepped in because they were just not playing super well. They were losing. And so I don't know at that point, is it like, hey, we're just going to give you a break to maybe like watch some film, talk to the, quarterback coach on the sidelines, give you a few plays to kind of reset? Or is it like, hey, if you don't step up, we're going to take you out for these games, for these plays. And if you don't step back up, then like this might be your future, and kind of like instilling a fear in them. I don't know if that's a coach's choice. I don't know if there's like the rules of the road that all of these quarterbacks do the same thing. I don't know. That's like way above me. I just feel badly for the guy sometimes. And then other times I'm like, he's fine.
Fun fact that I loved was, it's a good fun fact. Someone from Purdue might not love it, but they have lost every week that there has been a Taylor Swift release. And I just love when people put together stats like this. I don't know how people connect all of these dots, but whoever was like, let's see about a connection with Taylor Swift album releases and found this incredible journalism.
Yeah, I know we like sent this to each other on Instagram, which is so funny. I don't know what side of the coin, like who's figuring this out. Is it a Purdue fan or is it a Taylor Swift fan? Like, I don't know what the crossover is, but I love it. I want more of this. Like, this is, again, the fun parts of sports that I love. I love the tea. I love like the girly sides of football and everything like that. And so this was so funny to me that they backed it up. Let's see, all the way to 2006 is how far they went back, starting with the Taylor Swift.
The very first.
Yeah, like her first album.
It's incredible for Purdue. But at least, I mean, now they know what to expect next time.
Yeah, I think they're just praying that Taylor Swift doesn't release any more albums in the fall.
She never will. But I do think that she's going to take a break for wedding planning. I just get that sense.
I mean, like, you have to, right?
Yes.
For the scale that her wedding will probably be at, I'd imagine you'd have to.
But also, I could see it being like 20 people there.
Yeah, that's true. She's either going to go really big or super small. But she did say on the Graham Norton show, she was talking about her invite list. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, yeah, Graham will be there because I've met you and I like you. And why would I not invite you? Huge. Yeah. And so the vibes were giving huge blowout giant wedding. But we all know that she's full of surprises.
Blame her. I have moments where I'm like, because I'm her age too, 35, and I have moments where like I waited this long. It's just gonna be insane. I like tell my friends, I'm like, bachelorette party, we're going to like something ridiculous because now we actually have money. Instead of we all got married and we could barely go to Nashville.
No, that's so funny.
I'll be curious to see. Then we had the UCLA Penn State game. Last week we talked about how Penn State finds ways to lose. They found themselves in that predicament again. My little fun fact about that game was how the offensive coordinator for UCLA was like, I couldn't figure out how to use my headset because we never practiced on it. And I think about this often. When I watch games, I think 90% of it, I'm like watching the behind the scenes because that just like fascinates me so much. And I have thought about the helmet communication thing a lot. I can't imagine how stressed I would be during a game trying to figure out how to get that to work for the first time if I'd never done it.
No, again, I cripple under pressure. I could not do it. So I did not know that. I have so much more respect for them now knowing that, and then to also go and win the game.
It really was. Did you see the pictures of, it was like UCLA fans trying to rush the field, but there were like 20 of them. So it was like an empty field.
That's so sad.
I know. I saw that they played at the Rose Bowl. Does UCLA always play at the Rose Bowl, or was that just a special?
That's actually a good question. Let's see.
Because now that I think about it, I've been on UCLA's campus a few times and definitely don't know that I've ever noticed a football stadium.
According to ChatGPT, no, UCLA does not always play at the Rose Bowl, looking to potentially relocate to the SoFi Stadium or
that would be wild.
Yeah, or build a campus stadium.
Can you imagine playing college, like all your college games at SoFi?
No, that would be crazy. Granted, I don't know how fans stack up against for UCLA, but I feel like the stadium might look kind of empty.
It would. For sure, because I went to SoFi for the Georgia TCU game. Had it not been for Georgia fans, honestly, it would have been way too big. I guess it's like when college teams play at Cowboys.
Yeah, and those always look pretty empty.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not the best. Maybe they should just build their own campus stadium.
Like where in LA would you put
That's such a good point.
This just gets 5 seconds of our time, but Bill Belichick is still not doing it. It's embarrassing at this point. He's got to be embarrassed, right? Would you be embarrassed? Or do you think he just was so successful that he doesn't care? There's no way. If you're that successful, you always care about being successful.
Yeah. And especially if you leave the NFL and go to college, I feel like it's even higher expectations for you to perform at an even higher level because you've come from the NFL. And so for him to not even be doing a good job, it's like him doing a bad job. He's got to be embarrassed, right?
I think so. Someone was saying that he's just waiting to get fired because the paycheck is so big if he gets fired because of the contract. So then it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. What a way to end your career.
Yeah, but I also feel like, again, that if you're that competitive to work your way up, to go be an NFL coach for so long and then continue your career into college, like, I feel like he does have a genuine desire to want to compete, to want to win, to want to build a team. I don't know where the disconnect is happening between him and his current team now and how badly it's going for him. And at this point, I would have figured he made enough money that he wouldn't have to worry about like the payout from
Yeah, there's no way.
Going back to Jordan, who knows? Who knows what influence she has over all of these decisions?
Question that I've seen scattered around is, does this show that maybe Tom Brady carried the Patriots more than Bill carried the Patriots as a coach. It was just the universal lining and like these two people who just really, really vibed together is what made it what it was, rather than, I'm like even scared to say this because I don't want people to come at me, but like the greatest coach of all time, you know, like getting that title of the greatest coach ever, does that make people second guess that? Because if you're the greatest coach ever, does that mean that's a transferable skill to another team?
I think it definitely begs the question of, would they both be considered the greatest of all time if they hadn't been working together?
Philosophy by Monica and Karlee.
Next time you're in a group of all boys, ask that question and they'll just go off for like 30, 40 minutes and you won't have to worry about adding anything else to the conversation.
Exactly. Speaking of adding things to conversations, we'll do the things I heard from my husband or friends that we need to break down. Hayden Proctor. Tell us, Karlee.
This was just kind of like a weird, I just saw a clip of it. We didn't watch the full Alabama Vanderbilt game. Since we were in Ohio, we were kind of like out and about. My husband was telling me, he was showing me this play where Hayden Proctor, he like threw the ball to the lineman in the Alabama Vanderbilt game. Hayden Proctor is the one that received the ball. I mean, he is just like the epitome of like an SEC lineman. He's a left tackle. He got the ball and he just took off running, ran the ball. I mean, you just would never expect this to happen for a left tackle, for him to like pick up some yardage. And it was just like really funny. Also led us into the conversation of another really niche rule in football of having an eligible man downfield. And I was like, what does that mean? I don't understand. Also, if like a lineman wants to be a receiver, like sometimes this happens where instead of blocking or whatever they do, they can just like start running and receive the ball. But if they want to do that, they have to go check in with one of the refs and be like, hey, I'm going to be a receiver for this play, not a lineman. I'm telling you, Monica, I don't even know how this like led into a huge tangent of my husband and college football rules, but apparently there is a rule where if a lineman is downfield in a passing play, it results in a penalty.
Unless he were to have checked in with the...
Yes, unless for him to be like, hey, I'm going to be a receiver this play. Like this.
Wait, but if you're checking with the ref, isn't the other team going to see that and know what you're going to do next?
I don't know when.
I feel like the whole point of that would be to throw the other team off.
Right. But I don't know when it has to happen. I don't know if they can just do it subtly, like as they're all walking onto the field, or if they're in like a big huddle, they just have to be like, hey, refs, like letting you in on a little secret, you know? Like, I don't know how that happens, but I was just like, this just goes back to, as I'm watching the game of football, the more I understand, the less I understand. Because I was like, oh, this is a great play, good for him, woohoo. And then he's like, oh no, it could result in a penalty.
That is fine. I keep going back to, does the other team know that this person is or are not allowed to do it? Because wouldn't that determine whether they think that there's going to be a penalty or not? I don't know.
I don't know. I know. He didn't get the penalty. Like, he got the 2 yards. They passed it off to him. He ran for 2 yards. This giant lineman running down the field. He got it. So it didn't result in a penalty, but it led to my question of like, is this allowed? And my husband was like, yes, sometimes. It's always like, that's how I feel like every answer is with the sport of football. It's like, yes, asterisk, asterisk, like, unless these other 14 things happen.
Well, that makes me think too about how certain plays can have replays and certain ones can't. That also differs from college and NFL. But I always get so frustrated when they're like, okay, yeah, that was definitely the wrong call by the refs, but that cannot be questioned, or that can't be questioned.
This is like a side story, but that's such a good point, because I remember there was a Texas game last year that we were all watching. And something happened where it was one of those situations where it didn't call for a review. You couldn't challenge it. There was no replay. They just had to like take the ref's word. And that was like the final bit of it. But the Texas fans were so mad at the refs, that they started throwing things on the field, which stopped the game, which allowed the refs to then look back at the play. And they ended up overturning their call because the fans were throwing things on the field, which normally they wouldn't actually review that play. But because the fans were so mad and they stopped the game, it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen, which isn't saying a lot because we all know where I stand on watching college football, but it was just so wild. Like, I remember so vividly watching that, and everyone that was watching it together was like, yeah, this is actually the craziest thing that might have ever happened in college football.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. The Colorado TCU game, there were 2 calls that the refs like blatantly messed up. They had the rules guy come on. He was like, yeah, they got this so extremely wrong. And they were like, well, hopefully the refs right now are watching the big screen because TCU keeps playing it on the screen and it's very blatant. So maybe they'll just notice it up there. Oh, how many times do refs, instead of looking at their little thingy, they just go to the cameraman who got a much better angle?
I'd imagine a lot, but that's just me. That's just what I would do.
I would be like half the game watching. I'd be the worst ref ever. I would be too stressed. I would be so afraid of making the wrong call and everyone hating me the rest of my life. This week's most watched games. Oklahoma against Texas. That's always a huge one. It's the Red River rivalry game. They always play it at the Cotton Bowl, which is where the Texas State Fair is. Texas and Oklahoma, they both moved into the SEC together. So I think that's the easiest way to keep this huge, huge tradition alive. We've talked about Texas. Based off what we said, we're like, Oklahoma's got it in the bag, but I did see that their quarterback might be out. Is it now like 50-50 shot?
I don't know if it's 50-50, but it definitely makes it more interesting, especially because Texas is now coming off of this loss. They're not looking great. Oklahoma was on like the up and up. They were doing really, really well. And now that their quarterback might be hurt, it's kind of like, oh, it might be a little bit more of a level playing field versus like with the health of Oklahoma and the mentality of Texas, like they might be a little bit more evened out than people were expecting. And so I think it'll be a good game. There were some networks that were going to go down and do like their game day coverage there, but they've since Texas lost, they've pulled out. Like they're going other places. Really? Yeah, this weekend because they were like, with Texas playing this bad, like there are other more interesting games that we're going to go cover. So I think it'll be interesting to see what actually happens because whether good or bad press, this game is still getting a lot of press. Few other ones that'll be pretty good. Indiana and Oregon. This is a really big game for both teams. Like with Penn State losing and then with the win Oregon had over them, I think it'll be a pretty good game, pretty good spread between the two of them. So that one will be pretty interesting as well.
I'm excited for this other segment that we have, which is Wags in the News. You found a new YouTube series that you should watch.
Yes, I love reading about all the WAGs, and this is, again, where I find like the most joy in sports. Kristen Juszczyk and Claire Little, who are both wives of San Francisco 49ers players, they're starting a new YouTube series called Wifed Up, Mic'd Up, which I think is so cute. Kristen Juszczyk also is the one who like super viral because she was making all of those super cute, like really edgy game day outfits for her and like all of her friends. Like she made Taylor Swift a 49ers coat. And then she now has a partnership with the NFL for her clothing brand, which I think is so cute. It's so fun. But also to say is they're starting a new YouTube series, which I think is going to be so good. I will definitely be tuning in. I love Kristen Juszczyk. I think she's so cool. I don't know anything about her husband. I have no idea. I just know he plays for the 49ers, and I only know that because of her outfits that she wears. So I'm very excited for this series. I will be watching.
Yes, I'm excited. We're going to have everything in the show notes. We're going to break down the segments and let us know if you have any questions that there's literally you have no idea who to ask. Bring them in. We'll get it taken care of, and we will talk to y'all next week.
Bye, guys.